You're probably wondering why I have all these random products sprinkled about, but I wanted to talk about package design as another form of printing. So let's talk about boxes first, because I think that's something students have a lot of questions. How do you do a box design? How are these laid out? So I'm going to put all these aside. So this is just tea that I grabbed from my cabinet. We're going to break this box down and we're going to figure out how it's laid out so you can figure out how it works when you lay it out in Adobe Illustrator. So this actually opens instead of from the top, it opens from the side. So you can have a product that opens from the top or the side. You open up, you have all of these different tea bags, which would be a separate design. But this is the box and how it is. So really this is just one cardboard sheet printed on the inside and outside. That's all it is. It's not any more complicated than that. So we're going to go ahead and break it down. So there's a little bit of glue adhesive there. And we're going to fold it out. So that's all it is. So what's great about this is a pretty easy one. So there's an inside and there's an outside. So this is the inside print. This is just cardboard. That's all it is. It's cardboard. And in Adobe Illustrator, what you would do is a lot of times the printer will supply you with a template if it's a specific standard box. And if it's a custom box, you can size everything out and build your own template in Adobe Illustrator. But fortunately, there's a lot of templates already made for you, and you'll need to do the size to figure out how they fold. And also these little flaps, which usually don't need to have design on them because they're going to be flipped around and there's going to be adhesive areas. So there's no design here because that's the adhesive glue that held the box together. So you would probably not have any print on there. And usually there's not print on the inside. This one happens to have some items. So this is very easy. So when you flip it around, this is how it's going to be looking in Adobe Illustrator, just like this. You're going to have put different lines like guides and lines so you know where everything folds, just like the trifolds. You have your front here, your side, and your backs. So this will just easily come together and it folds right back into the box. So what helps is getting a box that's similar at your grocery store of the one you want to design for a client so that you can break it down, you can size it, and you might need to maybe adjust the size slightly depending on printer requirements. And so you can really be able to hold something in 3D. It really helps to be able to do that. So there you go, the front, sides, and bottom. It's all just one sheet, inside and outside printed. It's exactly how you'd set it up in Illustrator. So I have another tea here. I really like this tea. Actually, it's like a lavender blueberry kind of tea. Helps me sleep. So anyway, I was looking at the can. I'm like, this is interesting. So this is not printed on the can itself, like a soda can. It is actually an adhesive sticker that's put on the whole side of it to make it look like it's printed on the can. And how I can tell is this is very vivid colors, which you can only get printing on paper. Sometimes when you print on bottles, you can't get that vivid color. And so we have kind of this top sticky label that you would need to design. Okay, and so when I looked at this, I actually noticed it's just a sticker that wraps around. So you would take this off, and that is just an adhesive sticker that wraps around. So when you set this up in Illustrator, it would just start right here, and it would just be one big flat rectangle, just like this. And you would design all the way around it. And the key to designing something that's cylindrical is making sure you keep everything readable on one side. So you have everything condensed here. It's not spread too far over where you have to turn to read. You should never have to turn to read a label. So you need to make sure everything's condensed in one easy to read area and kind of have a simple back and front. So make sure you put the right spacing between the front and the back so it feels like a true front and back. Label design, that's all it is a lot more simple than you think to do package design. This is actually not a sticker or anything. This is literally printed on the plastic bottle. I wanted to kind of show you that. So it's literally printed on there. There's no adhesive, so it's printed on the plastic. So you'll notice text seems to be a little bit not as sharp when it's printed on the bottle. So you got to be really careful. With this particular brand, they probably could have used a little more gray, darker colors. That orange gets really hard to read. But I wanted to kind of show you how this bottle is printed. So what you would do in Adobe Illustrator is you'd find the sizing in the front, you double it, and so they can give you the size of what they need to wrap around it. Soda can. So this is different because this is also printed on the aluminum can itself. There's no sticker. It's literally printed on the can. You'll notice the ink used on soda cans never tends to be super duper bright or vivid. It has kind of a dullness to it because the way aluminum absorbs the ink. So that's something to keep in mind when you do soda can design. And in Adobe Illustrator, like everything, it's just one big flat rectangle, and you have the front, the back, and the design in between. So there's the back, there's the front, and you have kind of this in-between design. So it's not like you have the front and the back right next to it. You have some spacing between it. Once again, with all package design, get something very close to what you're going to design and study it and figure it out. That's just the best way to do package design. Same thing for this peanut butter. Actually, it's sun butter. And it's just literally an adhesive sticker they put on the can. That's all this is. There's nothing too complicated about it. And so notice here they have everything kind of easy to read. It's not too wide where I have to turn to read it. Same thing with this box. You take this box open. This is just something my baby likes to eat. Just got it in the kitchen. And I love to just break open boxes to kind of see how they're printed because, I'm a geek like that. So let's open this up. And once again, you'll see this is exactly what the print document will look like in Adobe Illustrator. Let me move all those tea bags out of the way. I'll have those later. So this is exactly how you'd set up an Illustrator, just like this. You'd have your kind of folding lines that you would indicate in a separate layer to let the printer know, where to fold, but it wouldn't actually be printed on the document, just guides basically that help you to know where it folds. And a lot of this will be supplied for the box manufacturer or the printer. A lot of times they will provide this for you, and you just pop on the front, pop on the back, you got the sides. You have to kind of understand in 3D how it's all going to fold together to really understand. You're never going to see everything all at once. And that's the tricky thing with package design is you see everything at once when you design it, but that's not how the viewer sees it. The viewer sees it chopped up. So you're going to have to figure out what the viewing experience is by putting together a little prototype or doing a test print to see how the viewing experience is, looking at it one side at a time. I just wanted to show you a package design. This is a very, very, very old client project I did. I have a much better box that had a translucent window that was really cool, and I cannot find it in my closet. So I just have to deal with this older one, but I did this box design. Similar process to what I just showed you, how I figured out how to create it. The printer sent me a template that showed me how all this was broken down. Of course, there's booklets and things that come with it. But this had no inside printing, so it was a lot cheaper. And then you flip it around and you have kind of a spine, I guess you can say, or a side in this case, a back and front. And you have, so this is exactly how it's laid out in my file that I made. You kind of have this, I extended this texture, so you have the bottom, have the wood, and it's just extended on the panels. So as they fold it, you'll see the texture. Just kind of thinking in mind all these little design items. Lastly, let's take a look at this book. So this is a book that I just wanted to show you how book jackets are made. So you kind of have this front and you have a spine, and there's no way you as a designer can figure out the spine on your own because it's about the page width and the page weight. So if you have a lot of heavy, thick paper, you could have a big, thick spine. If you have a super tiny, just like 10 pages, you might not have a spine at all. So this is something the printer needs to give you. Okay, it's going to be a 1/2 inch wide, or however centimeters, millimeters it's going to be wide, and then you put that into your document, just like we did with our romance book cover. You have your front. This is all just one printed jacket. You put your guides to make sure you know where the spine is, so when they get it printed, they know exactly that it falls right in that center spine area. And you have this. And what's tricky about jackets is a lot of times they have this little insert to be able to hold it together. So let's just take this off. This is a jacket, and some books don't have a jacket, and they're just printed right on there, same way. But with the jacket, you have these extra inserts, so really your document's a little bit longer and bigger, because now you have these little inside flaps that flip over. You have the back, the spine, the front, and the other insert that flips over to make the book. I hope you enjoyed this section. You got to see lots of different projects from me over the years, but also kind of technically how things fold, how things are printed, all these kind of questions. I've gotten a lot from students over the years about how the printing process works. And it's complicated. There's so many different custom sizes that you can do, but make sure to talk to and work with your printer. They're there for you to help you through this process so that you know how to get things printed, what paperweight to use, what inks to use, how to do gold foil stamping, special Pantone colors, all these kind of inks. So anyway, hopefully this section was helpful and beneficial for you, and I'll see you in the next section.